there is nothing important in this world more than sharing the word of God. You see, at times when God has done something for you, it's burning in you, and you cannot just sit back and not tell others about what God has done for you. It is important for us to spread the word, to tell the people, these are the last days. We are just living in borrowed time. And the time we have now, it is time to tell the people about what God is doing, about what Jesus is doing, not in other people's lives, but in our own lives. And people will know God. People will believe God through that. Now, it ties very well with what I just want to share with you this morning, a very, very short passage. It comes from Mark chapter 8, and I'll read from verse 27 to verse 30. You can also get this passage from Matthew chapter 16, from verse 18 to verse 20. You can also get the same passage from Luke chapter 9, verse 18 to verse 20. So I'm reading from Mark chapter 8, verse 27 to verse 30. It says here, now Jesus and his disciples went out to the towns of Caesarea Philippi, and on the road he asked his disciples, saying to them, who do men say that I am? 28. So they answered, John the Baptist, but some say Elijah, and others one of the prophets. 29. He said to them, but who do you say that I am? Peter answered and said to him, you are the Christ. Verse 30. Then he strictly warned them that they should tell no one about him. Now, I find this passage, very, very strange to me, because I'm talking of Jesus, who had been walking with his disciples for a long time. He has been with them, and they had seen him cast out demons. You see this in Mark chapter 1, Mark chapter 5, Mark chapter 7. They had seen him healing lepers who were unwell and they were well. We can see that in chapter 1 of Mark. They had seen him healing paralyzed people and walking in Mark chapter 2. They had seen him teaching about heaven and earth. The disciples had seen Jesus healing a withered man who had a withered hand. They had seen Jesus calming a storm when things were bad. They had seen Jesus resurrecting a young girl who had died. They had seen Jesus feeding thousands of people and walking on water. They had seen Jesus healing the deaf and healing the blind. And now Jesus is walking with these disciples. And what strikes me here is that Jesus takes his disciples out to the towns, and he chooses Caesarea Philippi. Now, the town of Caesarea Philippi has got a history. It is called Caesarea Philippi because it's named after Augustus Caesar, who was the Roman emperor. Now, it was a Gentile city. No Jews lived in that city. And if you read properly, you'll find that in that town, it was the town where idol worshiping was prevalent. So a lot of people who lived in Caesarea Philippi were idol worshippers. They were Gentiles. And Jesus, for the sake of just interacting with his disciples and asking them a few questions, he takes them out into the town of Caesarea Philippi. Now, Jesus asks the question. He says to the disciples, like, he says to the disciples, who do men say that I am? So he's asking the disciples. The reason he is asking, he knows that the disciples hear about what the people say. The disciples interact with people, different people, and they hear what they say about Jesus. So Jesus is soliciting some feedback from the disciples, and he asks them, who do people say I am? Now, the answers that come from the disciples were very interesting. Now, so they answered and they said, some say you are John the Baptist. What surprises me is, how can he be John the Baptist? How can people say he is John the Baptist when John the Baptist was there? As you know, John was walking in front and Jesus behind. And John would go preach the word, Jesus would come through. Now, John the Baptist was still around, and people were confusing John the Baptist, saying that Jesus was John the Baptist. Okay. Now, other people said he was Elijah. But you know already that Elijah had gone to heaven in the Old Testament. But here people are saying, I think it is Elijah who has come back from heaven and he is performing miracles. He is walking around preaching the word, teaching the people. Now, and then others said, he is just one of the prophets. So other people believe that Jesus was one of the prophets sent by God, just like other prophets who came before. They thought he was one of the prophets. Now, very interesting, the answers that people give here, right? Now, can you see what people are saying about it? Now, when I was sitting and reading about this, I thought, who do people, the people that I interact with, who do they say Jesus is? If you asked your friends, if you asked your relatives and other people whom you interact with, be it at work, be it at school, be it anywhere that you go, who do they say Jesus is? I'm sure if you're going to ask them, they will say all sorts of things. Obviously, they've heard about Jesus Christ. Probably they have seen people praying. Some of them, they know you, that you go to church as well. But who do they say Jesus is? And have you had any time to talk with them about Jesus and explaining who Jesus is to them? Do they really understand? Are they some of those that are saying Jesus is John the Baptist? Are they the ones that are saying Jesus is just Elijah? Or are they them saying that Jesus is one of the prophets sent by God? Who are they saying Jesus is? Do you know, my friend, my brother and my sister, we have a task. We have a job to play. We have a job to do. People out there may not understand who Jesus is. And we know who Jesus is. Are we taking the time to explain to them? There are keen people out there, some of them genuinely not knowing who Jesus is. Do we have time to explain to them who Jesus is? Do you not think that you can save a soul by actually explaining only to one who Jesus is? Do you not think that you can create a chain of reaction by explaining to only one who Jesus is and what Jesus has done in your life, so that they can spread the word, they can take the word further, and explain to someone else, and that someone else can explain to the other one. Jesus has done a lot to you. And people are asking outside there who Jesus is. Take your time. Explain to people. Share with people who Jesus is. Share with people what Jesus has done for you. Share with people what Jesus is still doing in your life today. Don't let people think that Jesus is Elijah. Don't let people think that Jesus is John the Baptist or just one of the prophets. Explain who Jesus is. Explain what Jesus is doing. Explain the work of Jesus and what he has done in your life. Explain your own experience with Jesus Christ. Now, if you read, you go on to read verse 29. Jesus then says, he turns back. He has been asking what people are saying about him or what people think who he is. Now he turns back to the disciples and he says to the disciples, but who do you say I am? Jesus is now asking the disciples, who do you yourself say I am? I find that awkward that Jesus was asking the disciples that question. Why do you think he was asking that question? Do you think there was confusion amongst the disciples about who Jesus was? Maybe so, because Jesus wouldn't have asked that question. Jesus was seeking something here from the disciples. He wanted the disciples, he wanted the knowledge, or he wanted to confirm to the disciples that he himself was Jesus. He wanted the disciples to know that he indeed was Jesus. And he wanted to give them an assurance that he was Jesus. And therefore, he asked them who they think. And then I'm sure they went quiet before Peter started talking. They completely went quiet before Peter said that you are the Christ. You are the Christ. And you know, Jesus turns to Peter and says, you know what? It is the Spirit of God. Jesus wanted to differentiate the truth from the lies. He wanted, first of all, to hear what people say and then what the disciples say. Who do you say Jesus is? Yourself today. I know you are here. I know that you have had a walk with Christ. I know that you have even seen what Christ has done in other people's lives. You have seen what Christ has done even in your life. But who do you say Christ is? If I was to ask you a question today, who do you say Christ is? Do you know who he is? Are you able to differentiate Christ from Antichrist? Can you confirm that he is indeed Christ through what he has done in your life? Can you strengthen other people? Can you stand and testify and talk to other people about who Jesus is? Who do you say Jesus is? Have you had an experience with Christ? I know that, just like the disciples who had seen Christ performing miracles, including raising the dead, including walking on top of the water, including calming the storm, including making the blind see, including making the deaf hear. Christ has done a lot. You have seen what he has done in other people's lives, and probably in your life. But do you know exactly who he is? Now, if you know who he is, why are you quiet? Why are you not spreading the word? Why are you not going to tell other people? Do you not think that other people need Christ? Do you not think that what Christ has done in your life, he can do to other people? When he rescued you from that trouble, when he actually gave you a job when you didn't have a job, when he gave you money when you were penniless, when he gave you clothes when you didn't have anything to wear, when you prayed to him and he answered that prayer immediately. Do you not want to share that good news with other people? Who do you say Jesus is to you? You've had an experience. Take the experience forward, my brother, my sister. Carry Jesus in your hands. Carry Jesus in your mind. Carry Jesus on your mouth. Talk about him. Tell other people about Jesus Christ and what he's doing. Tell the nation. Tell other people they need him. Talk to people. Talk to them. Spread the word and let them know what Jesus is doing. Jesus is in the business of doing great things. Jesus is in the business of healing the sick. Jesus is in the business of restoring peace within. People are troubled. People are depressed. People are having all sorts of mental health issues. But Jesus is in the business of restoring all that into a peaceful situation. Jesus is in the business of healing people. Those that are in hospital, Jesus can heal them. Why don't you share the good news? Why don't you take the good news at the people and let them know that Jesus is alive, Jesus is there, and Jesus is in the business of healing people, in the business of restoring peace, in the business of making people well. Take the good news, my brother. Take the good news, my sister. Jesus wants confirmation from you. When he asks you, do you know, what do you think, or what do you say I am? God is seeking, or Jesus is seeking confirmation. He wants you to know the difference between him and the other side. He wants to assure you that indeed he is there and he is in the business of looking after you. He wants to confirm that he indeed is alive and he can still strengthen those that are weak. The disciples then went away. If you look in Mark chapter, on the same chapter 8, going to verse 31, Jesus is now talking to the disciples and he's predicting his death. He wanted to prepare the disciples about what was coming. Jesus is preparing the people. He is telling the people about what is going to happen in future. And God is here, wants to let you know that he is there. He will never let you down. Jesus is in the business of healing. Jesus is in the business of restoring. Jesus is in the business of making us well. Carry the good news, my sister. Carry the good news, my brother. May God bless you this morning. May God bless you this Sabbath. Don't keep quiet. Jesus is asking, who do people say I am? Jesus is asking, who do you say I am? It's time to share the experience with the people out there, with the people within the church, with the people who don't know Jesus, that there is someone called Jesus and he is able. Jesus can do anything for you. Jesus can heal you and do anything and everything for you. You can have peace, eternal peace, because Jesus is with you. May God bless you, God's family, today, as you move on, as you spread the word, We are Adventists. We want to spread the word. We have got a special message. Let's spread the word about Jesus, about who Jesus is and what he is doing today. He is in that business. He's still restoring people. He is still healing them. And may God bless you as you take the word forward. Thank you very much. And I pray that you will not keep quiet, but you continue to give testimony about what God is doing and what God is going to do and what he has done in your life. May God bless you abundantly. Have a good Sabbath.